Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Safe Space where we get comfortable having the uncomfortable conversations.
And talking a little bit of mess. We are your hosts, Cee J.
And Manda.
So, last episode, we talked about friendships and the different dynamics of friendships and all of that lovely stuff. This week, we're going to take it another level up and talk about spouses, friendships, marriage, that whole thing. So, what you got for me?
So I kind of started to try to pose the question just to see what everybody, where people stood. When it comes to marriage, do you think that married couples should also have other married couple friends, or is that not
A requirement?
necessary or a requirement?
I think that as a married woman or a married man, you should at least have one, like married friend.
At least one.
Just at least one. As a wife myself, I don't think that I should be hanging around a bunch of single people. Single people don't do the same things that I do as a married person. I actually have two married friends, so it's different on both ends, like the way that the dynamics of you're married, so your relationship is with your husband, and then my other friend who is married, that dynamic with her husband. So again, kind of going back to the last episode, you have different friends for different things. I think that still applies to married couples.
I agree. Obviously, if we've been friends for a long time, I mean, I'm not, oh, you're not married, you can't be my friend.
Oh, yes.
But I definitely think that it does help, of course, with the cohesiveness and everything, and that understanding of the other person, and, you know, what their schedule could look like, or, you know, may not always be readily available to pop off. And we certainly aren't going to the club and turning up every day,
Right.
because we have obligations at home.
Right. So do you think that my husband and your husband need to be friends? Like, do they need to be friends?
They don't need to be, but they are the same person. So
This is true.
they are friends even if they didn't realize that they were friends. Luckily, I think they
get along well.
It happened organically.
Yes.
That they
Yeah.
have a friendship, but yeah. they
But I
were
guess
friends before they knew they were friends.
outside of you and I, do you think, just in general, you have a married girlfriend, do you think her husband or wife or partner needs to be friends with your partner? Or do you think it can just be like friendly and you all hang out sometimes?
Right. Do they need to be bestie friendies? No. Obviously I would hope that they would have, or at least be able to be cordial, or, you know, so that we could have those opportunities to hang out.
Right. And it's not awkward.
Right.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine the drama that would cause to have a friend, but your spouses don't get along.
Right. So to take that up a notch, do you think that, and I'm going to mess this up, do you think that your spouse's friend's spouse should be your friend? I hope you all follow that. Do you think that your spouse's
Are you
friend
required to be your spouse's friend's spouse's friend?
Yes.
It's not a requirement.
I agree. I think that you should be friendly, obviously. Again, just back to that dynamic of if you all want to hang out, it's not weird or no one's giving each other the eye. But I don't think that you have to develop this whole friendship, because we may not vibe like that.
Right.
It may not be more than just, oh, hey, we're going to go get dinner on Friday.
Right. Like, don't try to force it.
Yeah. No, I agree. Don't try to force a friendship, because then it gets awkward and messy.
Yeah.
So, taking it another level above, do you think that your husband should have like a friend that's the same sex? Or, I'm sorry, opposite sex. Sorry.
A friend that... So...
A single friend that's I'm just gonna add layers to it. A single friend of the opposite sex.
So it's funny because his place of employment, or like, I guess his old position, he worked in an office setting. The majority of his coworkers were females, and obviously single females, and some that were married, but they still did what they wanted to do anyway. In general, I don't have an issue with it. I'm not the possessive type, or don't be looking at my man type, but
Right.
I do feel like, and I think I've said this to him on occasion, it's not him that I'm worried about, it's the other person. So don't put me in a position where I might have to
What would you have to do, friend?
have a nice sit down conversation, a moment of prayer with the other person, maybe a counseling session.
See, I'm on the I completely disagree with you. Completely disagree.
Really?
Little Susie and my husband don't need to be friends.
Well, okay.
Like, what are you guys doing as friends?
Right. So
what are y'all
I
talking
guess,
about?
Yeah. Okay. So I guess maybe maybe not bestie friendies, no. But like, can they be friends at work? Sure. At work, like, I don't want him to ever feel like he can't speak to his coworker because she's a female, but
Well, yeah, speaking to somebody, yes, say good morning and you keep it moving. You go to your work area. But I think I'm familiar with the situation that you're talking about, as in, because where my husband previously worked, it was an open men and women. And I would hear the stories, and not saying that my husband's doing anything wrong, but I would hear the stories of, oh, Susan is talking to Tommy, but they both have spouses and they're doing things that they shouldn't be. So for me, I don't know what, I'm going to say Susie. I don't know what Susie and my husband would have to talk about, but when we're saying friend,
right.
a friendship is a level of, like, you're talking, you're hanging out, like,
Yeah.
if you need somebody to put your light bulbs in, my husband is not the person to help you do that.
Yeah.
You find somebody else to go do that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say no.
Yeah, like I said, on paper and on the surface, like I want to be able to say, oh, it's okay, I trust him, but it's not him that I don't trust. It is
Right.
the other person. So maybe in the root of it, I feel like that maybe, you can't, because again, and love him to death, my little bestie friendy hubby. I feel like he can. He knows better now, but I feel like that sounds terrible.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it does.
Okay, so hear me out.
Okay.
Now he knows better, but I think he is so innocent and almost naive sometimes when it comes to dealing with people. His kindness, and very kind, much like myself, like he's a giver. He wants to be helpful. He wants to be,
You all can't see me, but I'm aggressively shaking my head.
So, and again, he worked in an environment where there was a lot of females, single females or whatever have you. And he would get those calls. Hey, I need a TV mounted. Can you come over? Hey, I need to put little Jimmy's bike together. Can you come over? Like, where's little Jimmy's daddy?
So again, since we are married to the same man, kind of.
I was gonna say, you gotta clarify that.
I agree also, just like with my husband being super kind, always willing to help. Unfortunately, in the space we're in the world we live in today, you have to take that, like, someone will take advantage of that kindness.
Right. It's like, we've been in the situation where, and again, poor baby. I think, like, I couldn't even fully get upset because he was so upset about it. But we were in a situation where he had a coworker who overstepped, not like sexually or anything like that, but she felt comfortable enough that like she texted him in the middle of the night talking about, oh, there's a spider and I'm afraid, can you come kill the spider? Like at the time we lived in an apartment, and I think she lived like one court over from us. Nope, I'm lying. She moved, we like had just moved out of that apartment complex and she had moved in. So we were no longer in that same apartment complex, but she felt comfortable enough to text my husband in the middle of the night to ask him to come kill a spider.
Yeah, those are boundaries that you don't cross. And my dear friend, I'm not accusing him of anything, but then it would make you think like, well, why is she so comfortable? It's kind of like that theory of like, if someone is very comfortable talking to you about somebody else to you,
right?
It's like, well, what makes you that comfortable,
right,
to do something like that?
Needless to say, I don't think he ever spoke to her again.
She laying down the law.
I didn't have to though. Like that's the thing. I was like I said, I didn't even really get the opportunity to even be that upset. I mean,
right.
Granted, never mind. She was not an issue ever.
Well, look at that.
And I did not get my own. I didn't get my hands dirty, and neither did he. But I may or may not have.
Don't incriminate yourself on this podcast, please.
No.
Thank you.
All I'm saying is, no, like, all right, yeah, that might sound bad. Like, nothing bad happened to her or anything like that. But needless to say, I did not have to lift a finger or have to address it. And there was a whole team of people who was ready to check her on my behalf.
So I know we kind of took it to a housewife show last episode. I'm going to do it again this time. But if you can think back to Housewives of Atlanta, however long ago, when Phaedra, Apollo, and Kenya, that whole thing of her wanting to be Kenya wanting to be Apollo's friend, and just how that looked. Like I think they were married at that time. A married man having this friendship with this single person who is all over him in the pool, like being inappropriate. So I think that it's too many options for boundaries to get crossed. Yeah. So to avoid that, Susie will not be friends with my husband.
Yeah. And I also, this may be an unpopular opinion, but as a woman, I think that we get emotionally attached to things, to people.
Yeah.
Whether we do it knowingly or not. And I don't think that a woman can really be just friends with a guy and not even before, I mean, and you may catch yourself in the moment, but I think our minds will take us there. Like, oh, he's such a nice guy.
Right.
Like, what if, so yes, I do think that it is it possible? Sure. But I think it is a tall order just to be just friends, nothing more, nothing like,
Right. To keep it in that space without lines and boundaries and all of that getting crossed. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Mess around looking like what was it, Cecil and Simone on Married to Medicine.
Yes.
And like he was riding hard for his best friend, wasn't he? About ready to get a whole divorce.
That dynamic of that whole situation, like, did she know the friend?
She knew who Simone. She knew who the friend was. Yeah, like, and like they had been friends for years, like double-digit years.
Too invested though in that friend. I think so. That's a different dynamic though. I think having a friend already coming into a marriage or what have you, I don't think it's, unless there are lines that are crossed, I don't think it's reasonable to ask someone to stop talking to someone the year before you.
Right.
However, when you are prioritizing that person's feelings
over your spouse's,
what they want and what they need quote unquote, over your spouse's feelings, and they're expressing that to you, like, hey, I have an issue with you hanging out with Tiffany. I don't know if that's the lady's name. You hanging out with Tiffany at all hours, or prioritizing your golf games or whatever he had going on over what I'm telling you. When the friendship is driving you nearly to divorce,
right,
you got to pick your battles.
right, and that can, it doesn't even have to be someone of the opposite sex. If your homeboy, if you prioritizing your homeboy over your household, that is an issue.
Right.
Like, that doesn't fly either. So,
but yeah. I think that kind of circles it back to hopefully having a married friend, y'all align in certain ways, because in all hopes, if you're married and,
right.
and he's married, there shouldn't be room to be doing no crazy stuff.
Well, this
hopefully.
is true.
So I think that's the importance of having, but outside of that, having someone that you can relate to. Like, I can't talk to someone who is single about, not that I'm running down all my things that I have going on, but someone who is single can't relate to.
Yeah, because them single friends, they be the ones that have all of the opinions about what's going on in your household, and the single ones. And that actually is going to take me into my next question. Your friends that are in a relationship, but they're in a unhappy relationship. How do you?
I saw something about this. It was a very good question about whether or not, I don't know, I think I was listening to a podcast about whether or not you should, if you're, let's say you were going to get engaged and I disliked or had an issue with that person that like proposed to you, should I address it, or should I say like, hey, I don't know if that's right? Like, should I say something, or do you allow your friend to kind of make their own decision? So kind of like as a play off of your question.
Right. So, so it depends on what it is that you quote unquote don't like about the person.
Yeah.
Like, oh, his feet stink. Or I don't like the way he dresses. Like, I don't feel like he's right for you, sis. Like, no, that's kind of petty. But now if you know that that person is cheating and all of that, then maybe you need to say something. That is always,
it's a tricky situation though, because you say something and then that person still ends up being with that spouse, and you look crazy, and nobody's talking to you.
You the one cast out,
right,
because they didn't kiss, they made up, and now neither one of them like you.
Right. I like to mind my business when it comes to parenting styles and also relationships. Like, it would have to be something like dramatic,
right,
or severe for me to intervene and be like, I don't think that person's right for you. Like, I would have to. And kind of off of that question, do you care if your friends like your spouse?
Not necessarily. No, not even that necessarily. No, because that's my spouse. That's my household. As long as I have peace within my household and we gel and we're good. Like, now, do I want them at each other's throats? No, but it's not a requirement for you to like my spouse.
Yeah, I think it would just depend, kind of like we were just saying. I think it just depends on what the reasoning is. If you have a legit reason, like you saw Tyrone down at the bar and he was talking to some girl and we're in a committed relationship, that may be cause for you not to like him. But then that spirals in, like, do you even tell your friend?
Right, I was going to say, so
that took place.
If you were ever in a situation where you saw your friend's spouse legitimately cheating, like no ifs, ands, or buts about it, they are getting down with the get down, do you go back and tell your friend?
My friend, or like the I know your spouse, like I'm friends with him and I happen to know I know your spouse.
So
Because I have two different answers for that.
Well, answer both ways.
If it's my friend, if I saw your husband down at the Giant pushing a cart with another woman, I'm going to call you and be like, so, hey, I'm going to need you.
Let me tell you something.
Yes.
And then snap a picture because, you know.
Yes. But if it's I'm friends with this guy and he is the one that's doing the cheating or wrongs or what have you, and I know his girlfriend.
We have to be PC. So even if you're friends with a girl and your girl is cheating.
Yes. So if my friend is the cheater, I feel like your loyalty should technically lie with your friend.
Even if they wrong, grand dame.
I would address it with them. Like, hey, you're wrong for X, Y, and Z.
Right.
I don't know that I would go to their spouse and be like, so I saw my friend doing these things.
Yeah.
But yes, I would address it directly with them to say like, hey, so-and-so is a good person. Like, you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
But I don't think that I would take it and give that information to somebody else or to their spouse. What would you do?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same vein. If you were cheating on your spouse, that sounds so weird to even say, but I'm like, look, I'm gonna need you to get it right. You know, get it together and like stop it. Like when I go and tell him, like, nah, I'm not gonna be able to do that, but I am gonna let you know, or because you know there are some people out there that are cheaters and like will bring the side person along and around their group of friends. Don't do that.
Don't put me in that situation. Yeah.
Don't put me in the middle of it. I don't want to see it. I don't condone it. None of that.
Right.
And it on the surface, to answer the other part of the question, on the surface, yeah, I probably would still do it. I was gonna say on the surface, I would be like, like tapping on that phone, snapping pictures, because y'all know I am quick to grab a sneak a peek somewhere and be like, who this woman that he, you know.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm like, oh my God, that is my best friend. Like, I don't want to be the one to bring the wrath to her household. Like, there's even a scenario where I think, because I've been asked this question before, and I'm like, maybe I would go to that spouse and be like, look,
you tell her I'm going to.
Right. You tell her you got 24 hours.
All right, or movie else. Dramatics.
I'm just saying. Because like that would be my best friend. Like I would never want to bring.
Right.
And then again, y'all mess around and
work it out.
And work it out.
Right.
And then I'm the one not invited to Thanksgiving anymore. Right. Or if I am, I'm getting the dirty looks. Like, you loudmouth. You know what I mean?
So let's take it away from friendships just for a second. Is cheating a deal breaker for you, since we're talking about cheating?
You mean within my relationship?
Yes.
On the again surfacey, because it's so weird, because you always have these, I would never do this, I would never do it, until you're actually faced with the situation. My initial answer would be yes, it's a deal breaker. Like, I'm out of here.
Right.
And I'm gonna take more than half of everything, and I'm gonna make you pay daily. Like, that dagger in me, that I'm gonna get you. Like, at the end of the day, he may want to end up just saying never mind and leaving me, because I think even if I stayed,
the forgiving part,
I'm never gonna be able to forget, and I don't know that I could fully forgive.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm gonna make you pay. Like, you forgot to take out the trash, you cheater. Like, babe, it's been 10 years. I don't care. Remember that time? You know what I mean?
I get it.
What about you?
My first instinct would be to say no, but obviously being married for almost 10 years, having three children. Like, you don't know what you would do until you're in the situation.
Mm-hmm.
However, my first instinct would be to say no, because I have the same feeling that you have. Like, it would be something very random, and you would be a cheater,
right.
and you'd be getting cussed out because you left no toilet paper on the roll. Like,
right.
something so simple. Like, but I think there's a difference, though. So my answer would be no, but then obviously in a real life situation, there's a whole lot of dynamics that go into it.
Yes.
It's not just you and I. It's a whole lot to go into it.
Because I'm thinking, we had the kids, and, I couldn't imagine them not waking up to their dad every day. And, their dad is their person.
Mm-hmm.
And like, what would we do without?
But I think there is a fine line between, and I don't even know that I would call cheating a mistake. Like, I don't, to me, it's not a mistake.
I fell on it.
So, like, the one-time cheating and, like, the constant cheating, I think it's two different
things. It is. I think so.
Again, I don't like to say no for sure. I wouldn't do anything until you're in that situation.
Right.
But my surface answer would be no.
I was going to say, it's like another topic for another podcast. What's worse, physical cheating or emotional? Let's write that down.
Ooh, I have an answer right now, but we'll save that.
Okay.
Tune back in if you want to hear my answer.
Yes. Because that is another. Mm-hmm. But yeah, because we're gonna go down that.
We'll be here all day.
Yeah,
we'll be here all day.
So we're
gonna cut it here for now. Thank you all for coming back and listening to another episode of the Safe Space Podcast. We will see you back here each and every Monday. Bye.
Bye.